right. Forge! Gang! I am still a hard man! Let's go! I am your host, ImperatorOfForge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer. And this stream, or this review, will be ImperatorOfForge reviews the Frieza arc Part 1. The Namek part, or the Planet Namek Adventure part. And boy, oh boy, do we have a very long arc to cover. It is so long, even in the mangaka, that I have to break this up into many different parts. But Rick Perry says, Forge gang, I am still a hard man. What is up, Rick Perry? All right, so we have a almost entire clean cast of new characters. The Frieza arc is unique in that almost all of the characters before and after that come along, besides just Goku, Krillin, and Gohan, are completely absent. We have an entirely new cast of different characters of extraterrestrial space origin, alien origin. We have a journey to a new planet, which is very different. So, the creator of Dragon Ball, Akira Toriyama, sets the adventure not on Earth, which is very unique. Never before in Dragon Ball, up until this point, have we actually had an adventure set in space. As a matter of fact, for the entirety of the early part of the manga, outer space is never really mentioned. We also have a continuation from the Saiyan arc with Prince Vegeta, Saiyan Prince Vegeta, returning back. So, this is an incredibly long, brutally long arc. Every arc in Dragon Ball is very long at this point. So I'll only be covering the first part. So we have a new species of Namekians. We have a new planet and a new set of Dragon Balls. The only other set of Dragon Balls, the Namekian Dragon Balls, which are larger, they have a new type of dragon that can grant 3 wishes. And so we begin our adventure at the end of the Son Goku and Vegeta fight on Earth. Yamcha, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, and Piccolo are dead. They have been wiped out. They are dead. They are as dead as doorknobs. They were killed by the Saiyan Nappa, who came with Vegeta to get the Earth Dragon Balls. I've already covered in the Saiyan arc review some of the lore about the Namekians, and we've already gone through a bit of some of the beginnings of the Namek adventure. And so, we begin at the Wayapo Hospital, or the Wagango Hospital in West City, or the Western capital, where Mr. Popo picks up Bulma on his magic carpet and transports her to Yanzabit Heights. It is at Yanzabit Heights, one of the most isolated places in the world, that they find a spaceship, or the old, worn-out remains of an ancient spaceship from hundreds of years ago that was the ship that a certain Namekian arrived on Earth. And it is interesting that this spaceship was actually used. So Bulma, of course, is very scared, and she's wondering if Mr. Popo kidnapped her to do unpleasant things to her, but regardless, Mr. Popo speaks a very unusual language. Mr. Popo speaks a strange language. And if you go back to my ImperatorOfForge reviews of the 23rd greatest Under the Heavens martial arts tournament, you will have remembered that I mentioned that Devil Emperor Piccolo Jr. and God, who is in Shin's body, were speaking an unusual ancient language. It turns out that this language is Nahamekian or Namekian. It is the language of the people of Namek. It was the language that God and Devil Emperor Piccolo were speaking in at the tournament. Regardless, Mr. Popo talks about how 100 years ago, Kami had talked to him in this language and actually taught him this language. When Kami was a young child, or when Kami was young at Yanzabit Heights, he lived and stayed there for many years. He had completely forgotten everything about his origins and had lost his memories, just as Kakarot did about his Saiyan origins. It turns out that the word Piccolo in Namekian means otherworld. It is in this context that the spaceship opens. So they go inside the spaceship. The technology is extremely advanced, far more ahead of anything on Earth. It is with the spaceship and the Nahamekian language that they instantly travel to Jupiter. The spaceship is extremely fast. It goes to Jupiter in 2 minutes, or not even 2 minutes, and back to Earth. So they begin to learn Namekian. About a couple of weeks pass. Bulma learns about Namekian, and they have a new dragon radar. So, yeah, if you did not know, Bulma invents a new dragon radar system to detect Namekian Dragon Balls. And they build up and repair the spaceship at Capsule Corporation. Now, Goku is still injured by his fight with Vegeta and is in the hospital and hasn't gotten some senzu beans yet. And so, eventually, Gohan and Kuririn decide to go to Namek, to planet Namek on the other side of the galaxy. So, Akira Toriyama is playing into Star Wars. Akira Toriyama is kind of playing a bit around with Star Wars and Star Trek. When Dragon Ball Z was on air in the 1990s, the original trilogy of Star Wars had come out in America, and it had a very strong cultural impact, even in Japan. In Japan, Star Wars was very popular at the time. Star Wars was very popular, and A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi had come out, and anyways, it was very popular, and it greatly influences this arc. The Frieza arc picks up right in the aftermath of the Saiyan arc, in which now we know that Piccolo and Kami's origins are Namekians. So Gohan, Kuririn, and Bulma use Kami's ancient spaceship to travel to Namek. They have the coordinates from Kaio-sama. They have the details and the ability to go to Namek on the spaceship, and they travel there. And Vegeta There's a scene where Kuririn and Gohan are using mind training, where they train in their kind of astral state of mind, and they are on the spaceship for 28 or about 30 days going across the galaxy to Namek. On Frieza planet number 78, or number 76, Vegeta arrives in his Saiyan attack ball, and he's put into a healing chamber and recovers, and they're wondering what happened to Nappa. Once Vegeta recovers and gets out, they are unable to repair his Saiyan tail that Yajirobe severed off of him. And so there is this talk. Vegeta runs into his rival Kwai, or Kiwi, and he mentions that Lord Frieza has gone to planet Namek to find the Namekian Dragon Balls, and had already left well in advance. And it turns out that Frieza is going to use the Namekian Dragon Balls to wish for the same thing Vegeta wanted, which is immortality. A frustrated and angered Vegeta goes into his Saiyan attack ball and blasts off to Namek, with Kwai following in pursuit. So there's no fake Namek. Anyways, Bulma, Gohan, and Kuririn arrive in the orbit of Namek. They land on Namek, and they sense a whole string of powerful power levels, or strong battle power levels, and of course, this is the Frieza Force. The Frieza Force has Frieza, who is in his hover chair, who has horns, spiky horns, purple or pink skin, kind of heavy wieldy armor, and pointy horns out of his head, and other things. And then there is Zarbon and Dodoria. Zarbon, who kind of looks like a transgender blue-skin character with long hair, and Dodoria, who is fat and has pink skin and a bunch of spikes along his shoulders and arms. There is a whole bunch of other Frieza Force soldiers composed of hundreds of intergalactic alien species that work for Frieza. They have been raiding all of the Namekian villages, killed the Namekian elders, and are performing a genocide on the Namekians as they take the Namekian Dragon Balls. So they have 3 Dragon Balls. The Dragon Balls are bigger, much bigger compared to Earth Dragon Balls. So the Namekians have magical abilities. They have unique magical abilities to make sets of Dragon Balls. They have unique and special magical abilities and unique gifts and other assortment abilities. They also have higher battle power levels compared to humans or Earthlings. Regardless, anyways, they've raided 3 Namekian villages. Not long after they arrive, the gang arrive on Namek, Prince Vegeta also arrives, as does Kwai, and 2 Frieza Force soldiers attack and destroy Kami or God's ancient spaceship, so they're stranded on Namek. Krillin and Gohan disguise their battle power to confuse their scanners, and so you have these Frieza soldiers that wear the same armor that the Saiyans had, but are not Saiyans. And Krillin remembers way back with what Raditz had said. Raditz, Goku or Kakarot's older brother, had talked about the planet trade and that Saiyans were conducted in conquering planets and selling them in the planet trade. And it begins to sort of come together what is actually going on. So Krillin and Gohan easily defeat the 2 Frieza Force soldiers. And they're not Arcosians. That's a dub retard terminology. Frieza is not an Arcosian. There is no such thing as Arcosians. There's no such thing as Arcosians or nothing like that. That's in the dub. That's not in the original Japanese version of Dragon Ball. Frieza's race is never mentioned or stated at all. So Krillin and Gohan defeat the Frieza Force soldiers, Two-Pits and Blueberry, or Blueberry and Strudel. Vegeta gets into this fight with Kui, or Kui, who is actually stronger than Vegeta, or he was, but Vegeta, since his experiences on Earth, has discovered the power of the Scions, which is the Zenkai power. Using the Zenkai power, Vegeta, upon recovering with his fight with Goku, gets even stronger. So the manga version of this fight is Kui fires a bunch of ki blasts. Vegeta dodges it. He kicks Kui, punches him, and blasts him to bits. Kui is killed and incinerated by Prince Vegeta, and then the Frieza soldiers go to the next Namekian village, or they attack the next Namekian village. I wonder if this means that DJ Axel is actually Namekian. Could DJ Axel be Namekian all along, disguised as an Earthling? Who knows? I do know that he greatly resembles the Lorax. Anyways, Krillin, Bulma, and Gohan hide in a cave. Krillin and Gohan follow the Frieza Force to the next Namekian village. This is where they meet Dende, who will become the only real seriously reoccurring character from the Frieza arc after the end of the Frieza arc. Bulma talks to Master Roshi, or the mutant Roshi, on his island on Earth, and he goes to the hospital and tells Goku about stuff, and he mentions that there's an even stronger person on Namek that's stronger than Vegeta. Yajirobe comes in and gives Goku Son Goku Senzu beans. Goku recovers and heals. He has 7 Senzu beans. Goku goes to Capsule Corporation on the Kento On. This is the last time that Goku rides on the Kento On to Capsule Corporation. Dr. Briefs is fixing up a new spaceship with an artificial gravity chamber system so that Goku can train at up to 100 times artificial gravity, or the Earth's gravity. You'll remember that when Goku trained under the god of the universe, Kaio-sama, that he had trained on 10 times over the Earth's gravity on his world. So Goku will advance his training even further and surpass all of his previous martial arts masters, Roshi, Korin, Kami, and Kaio. Regardless, the spaceship is fixed up. Dr. Briefs had been working on it for quite a while. Goku blasts off into outer space. This is the first time that we see Goku in space, and Goku is really surprised at how dark and how starry and unique outer space is. So Goku on the spaceship, which was actually his Saiyan attack ball that he came to Earth as a baby in, rebuilt as a capsule spaceship to go to Namek. And it has the warp drive, or faster than light speed systems necessary to go to Namek in 6 days. So Goku trains in higher artificial gravity. Now, in the anime, Goku's entire gravity training stuff is pretty cool and heavily detailed, but Akira Toriyama kind of just really doesn't go over a lot of it. So Frieza and his henchmen attack the 4th Namekian village. They have 4 Dragon Balls. Now, they got their 4th Dragon Ball when Bulma, Gohan, and Kuririn arrived on Namek. They're attacking the 5th Namekian village. Gohan and Kuririn are up on top of a cliff, and Kuririn remembers Raditz, the Saiyan Raditz, talking about the planet trade and stuff, and they figure out that the Saions were working with the Frieza Force. They don't know that Vegeta has rebelled against Frieza. And so Frieza finally brings in his introduction and talks about his quest for the Dragon Balls. So the Dragon Balls are venerated relics to the Namekians. They are very highly important to the Namekians, and you have to have power, dignity, honor, strength, and Jedi stuff. It kind of goes back to the Jedi in Star Wars. The Jedi are supposed to be strong, brave, fearless, willing to commit whatever is necessary in terms of sacrifice. That's kind of the Namekians. The Namekians are the Jedi of Dragon Ball. So anyways, Frieza just wants to use the Dragon Balls to have eternal life. Vegeta is listening in on the scouters and stuff, and he has a power level of over 20,000, or about 26,000 now. It used to be 18,000, it's 26,000. And so, anyways, they get into a fight. The Namekian warrior, the warrior-type Namekians arrive. They get into a large fight. They get into a giant fight, and the Frieza Force soldiers are very strong. They're about around the strength of Raditz, the Sai-Bai men, and Nappa, and they're pretty much killed and wiped out. Akira Toriyama does not do a very good job with the ordinary Frieza soldiers. He actually ends up forgetting that they exist. So the majority, or just about all of Frieza's soldiers, are killed by the Namekian defenders, and then Dodoria goes out and kills them brutally. There's this scene where Dodoria impales and kills a Namekian defender, and he fires a mouth Kai blast and kills another Namekian. Zarbon kicks and snaps the neck of a Namekian villager and fires a Kai blast and kills another Namekian villager. So the great fight ensues. The Namekians try their best. Piccolo and Kami's species try their best to resist the invaders, the alien invaders of their world, but only are they able to do so to a certain extent. And then the Namekian elder of the 5th village, Dende's village, powers up and destroys all of the scouters. They realize that the scouter devices on their heads are how they are able to find or locate their villages. So they destroy all of the Frieza scouters, and with that, they are unable to find the remaining villages. Regardless, Dodoria kills the Namekian defenders, or the warrior-type Namekians, and wipes out and genocides the Namekians of that village. Then Dende and his little brother, Dende has a little brother, they try to run off, but Frieza fires a death beam and kills Dende's little brother mercilessly. And then Gohan jumps in and kicks down Dodoria, and then Krillin gets involved, and Krillin and Gohan, they save Dende, and they take him away and flee the village. Dodoria snaps and breaks the neck of Mori, the Namekian elder. Each of the Namekian villages has a Namekian elder that was appointed under the Grand Elder Saichoro. Regardless, Krillin and Gohan flee from the scene. Dodoria follows them in pursuit. Dodoria, of course, is faster, and so Kuririn uses Ten Shenhan's technique, Soryoken or Soryoken, that blinds and stuns Dodoria. So Gohan, Krillin, and Dende are hiding. Dodoria fires a giant Kai blast that blows up a good portion of the islands. They survive. Dodoria leaves and runs into Vegeta. It is in this brief interaction between Dodoria and Vegeta that we learn that Vegeta is the prince of all the Saiyans. He is a member of the royal household of planet Vegeta, We also find out that the Scions can become infinitely stronger if they undergo extreme battle damage or a near-death experience and recover. They become much more powerful than they were before because of the Zenkai power ability of the Scions. And Vegeta has learned how to sense ki and suppress and raise his battle power. And so Vegeta destroys the last scouter on Namek. We learn from Dodoria that the Scions were actually hired mercenaries under Frieza. They had been working to conquer planets for Frieza, and Frieza was quite impressed, but also concerned that the Scions, because of their growing fighting potential and love for battle, would one day join forces to rebel against him. So Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta, killed Prince Vegeta's parents, the king and the queen, and genocided all the Scions, except Kakarot, Raditz, Nappa, and Vegeta. And so with that, Vegeta fires a giant Kai blast and blows up and kills Dodoria, after Dodoria fires a bunch of Kai or Kaitan blasts on Vegeta. So Dodoria, the man who defeated Bardock, or the guy that led the team that wiped out Bardock's teammates, is wiped out and destroyed by a Scion, a hated and despised people. Regardless, with Dodoria's passing, only Apuli and Zarbon are what is left of the Frieza force on Namek. So Apuli and Zarbon fly around without scouters to find the other villages. Frieza takes his 5 Dragon Balls and flies off. In outer space, Goku is undergoing extreme and most intensive training at 20 times over the Earth's regular gravity to become stronger. Through this intensive training, Son Goku surpasses all limitations of ordinary Scions. So just as Goku surpassed by leaps and bounds anything that Earthlings were capable of doing, so does Goku, a low-class Scion warrior, surpass even the most highest limitations by leaps and bounds of regular Scion warriors. Eventually, Kaio contacts Goku and finds out that Yamcha, Ten Shenhan, Chaozu, and Piccolo, they have halos levitating above their heads, are now on Kaio's world. And just as Goku trained with Kaio, they are now training with Kaio. In fact, Piccolo, Ten Shenhan, Yamcha, and Chaozu crossed Snake Way in the afterlife even faster than Goku did. And Goku is actually impressed. They're even stronger than they were when they fought the Scions, and they're training under Kaio. But Goku tells Kaio that there is an even stronger person. Well, first he tells them that Vegeta is on Namek, and there's an even stronger person than Vegeta. This is when we begin to really break ground on who exactly Frieza-sama is. Kaio is concerned and hopes that it is not Frieza, the strongest fighter in the entire universe, or at least in the entire galaxy. So Kaio goes to the opposite part of his world and senses out and finds that it is indeed Frieza who is seeking the Namekian Dragon Balls, and he is on Namek with Vegeta and with Zarbon, Apuli, and the other members of the surviving Frieza force. So Kaio and Goku get into this very big and very long and extensive dialogue, and Kaio warns Goku to not lay his hands on Frieza-sama. He is far too strong and far too cunning and evil for Goku to face. And so, Goku now has a new challenge in Frieza. Not only must Goku become even stronger than Vegeta, but Frieza as well. And so Goku starts training at 30 times over Earth's regular gravity in the artificial gravity room. As Goku trains non-stop for 5.5 days on the spaceship, lifting weights, pushing dumbbells, doing infinite numbers of push-ups and set-ups, training hard, firing Kamehamehas around the gravity room and taking them head-on, exploiting the Saiyan Zenkai boost to its fullest and greatest exploitation and envelopment. On Kaio's world in the afterlife, Kaio trains Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Chaozu, and Yamcha as they go through the same training as Goku did in the Saiyan arc. Regardless, on Namek, Frieza returns in his hover chair to his spaceship with the 5 Namekian Dragon Balls and stays in his quarters. There aren't many Frieza soldiers left, but anyways, Vegeta goes to the 6th village, or the 6th Namekian village, and he fires a Kai Blast and kills a Namekian right on the spot. So, Dende, Krillin, and Gohan and Bulma are in a capsule house and they're eating. They find out that there is never nighttime on Namek. Namek is in a solar system with 3 suns, and because it orbits around 3 suns, it's never nighttime. There is also no gender differences with Namekians. They don't have male or female with Namekians, and they don't have sex, but instead they the Dragon Clan spit out dinosaur eggs, and that's what they hatch from. Just like with the Demon Clan and Devil Emperor Piccolo before. Anyways, Vegeta is killing a bunch of Namekians at the 6th Namekian village and fighting with the Namekian elder of that village, and Dende is very upset, breaks out in tears and cries. He breaks down into tears and cries about the death and bemoaning. He bemoans the passing of his people and the end of his world. And so Krillin and Gohan can't do anything because Vegeta is too strong. So Vegeta kills all of the Namekians at this village. He kills the Namekian elder, who tries to tell him that he cannot have their Dragon Ball and he must leave because he is too evil and too selfish to have it. So Vegeta kills all of the Namekians at the village, finds the 4-star Namekian Dragon Ball, which is just like Goku's grandfather's Dragon Ball on Earth, throws it in a pond or hides it in a pond underwater, and then proceeds to find the other Dragon Ball. Vegeta wants to get the other 2 Dragon Balls so that Frieza cannot get his hands on them to make his wish of eternal life. Vegeta plans to steal the other 5 and use them to wish for eternal life, so that he can eventually become strong enough to surpass Frieza. Regardless, it is decided, hundreds and hundreds of years before, natural climatic conditions caused weather disasters on Namek that wiped out almost the entire Namekian people. And because of the near extinction of the Namekians, a bunch of Namekians left Namek and went on an exodus in various spaceships to different planets across the entire galaxy. The original Namekian that Devil Emperor Piccolo and Kami derived from was one of those refugees from those natural climactic disasters, hundreds of years before the Frieza arc happens. Regardless, they decide to go and talk with Saichoro, the greatest, eldest Nahamekian or Namekian, an ancient Namekian who is over 1,000 years old. Saichoro is over 1,000 years old in Earth years, and he is the one who has literally birthed all of the other Namekians on planet Namek. He was the sole survivor that was not wiped out in the disaster to Namek, and all of the Namekians, about 100-something Namekians, are all of his children. They are all his children. So Dende and Krillin go to the Grand Elder's place. Vegeta runs into Zarbon, and they get into a giant fight. Zarbon fires a gigantic Kai Blast that Vegeta shovels off or pushes off, and then they start punching and kicking and fighting, and it looks like Vegeta has the upper hand on Zarbon. He is overpowering and defeating Zarbon, kicks him high into the air, tosses him down, and performs various attacks. This is the first real fight since the Frieza arc began. I want to say that all of the early fights in the Frieza arc are pretty jabroni and are rather cheap. But this is an interesting fight. And so Vegeta very easily overpowers and seems to have the upper hand on Zarbon. But at the last second, Zarbon reveals that that form is not his true self, and that he has the ability, does some alien species in the universe to transform or to mutate instantly and to change and alter the shape of their bodies to power up their ki. This Zarbon does, and transforms into a hideous, fish-faced, scaled-up giant beast. He becomes twice his regular size. He powers up and surpasses Vegeta. So Vegeta and Zarbon once again fight, and Vegeta is brutally horsetail whipped. Zarbon is faster, he is stronger, he is tougher, and he is much more powerful and has a higher ki. Zarbon whacks and throws Vegeta's face into a bunch of rocks and boulders and throws him into the ground and tosses him up into the air, as Vegeta is superiorly overpowered greatly by Zarbon. Vegeta tries to fire a bunch of energy blasts or Kai blasts, and Zarbon just outraces him, as Vegeta tries desperately to fight. So there's a bunch of scenes where Vegeta is punching and kicking at Zarbon. Zarbon is performing multiple punches and kicks, both in his deformed state and in his true form, as they power up and go into this gigantic clash or power clash with giant air shock waves blowing across the sky. But eventually, Zarbon tosses Vegeta into a giant lake. He goes at his fastest speed and then drops or knocks Vegeta into a giant crater. The water then flows into that crater, and it appears that Vegeta is drowned, or has been drowned. Regardless, Apuli, the other Frieza Force soldier, finds the village that Vegeta attacked. He looks around and can't find the 6th Dragon Ball, and returns to Frieza's spaceship. Zarbon transforms back into his other form, and also goes to Frieza's spaceship. So anyways, Frieza, of course, is not at all pleased about what he hears. So Apuli and Zarbon go to Frieza's spaceship, Frieza is already greatly concerned about how far Vegeta is progressing. There is an ancient legend that Frieza greatly fears, as he maniacally conceives and plots his most evil designs upon the universe. Regardless, Apuli reports about the village that Vegeta attacked and that he was unable to find the Dragon Ball. Frieza then sends Zarbon to retrieve Vegeta and put him in a healing chamber in the medical room of the spaceship to heal and to recover. Anyways, Krillin and Dende arrive at the Grand Elder's house, which is a gigantic alien-looking building on top of a very long and high mountain peak. It is here that Krillin runs into a Namekian who greatly resembles Piccolo, and his name is Nail, and he is a warrior-type Namekian. He is also the Namekian with the highest battle power level on the planet, and he defends Saichoro. In the upper room, Krillin is shocked to find a super giant, very ancient and very elderly-looking Namekian, the oldest Namekian in the universe, named Saichoro. Saichoro was the one who created the Namekian Dragon Balls. His life force is linked to those Dragon Balls, and Saichoro is also the one who birthed the entire Namekian survivors on Namek. So Saichoro puts his hand on Krillin and reads his mind. Saichoro is able to sense into and to read every thought and every emotion that Krillin possesses. It is out of this that Saichoro is able to remember the son of Katus. The son of Katus was a member of the Dragon Clan. He was a specialty magicianal type Namekian who survived the natural disasters, and his parent sent him to Earth. It was the son of Katus who, under the influences of the evil ways of humankind, and because of the evil that the son of Katus observed on Earth as he grew up and lived on Earth hundreds of years ago, that later caused him to split into the good half, Kami, who later became the god of Earth and created the Earth Dragon Balls, and Devil and his evil side, Devil Emperor Piccolo or Demon King Piccolo. The origins of Kami and Piccolo, and the duality of humankind and the dual nature of Earthlings that resulted in this split. Saichoro also learns about the Earth set Dragon Balls, or the Earth set of Dragon Balls, about Piccolo, about Kami, and the Scions who caused their genocide. Saichoro then discovers that Kuririn, because of his life as a martial artist and the years of training and experience in the martial arts and the Mutin Roshi School, or the Turtle Hermit School of Martial Arts, that Krillin has a very substantial amount of power that has not yet been realized. So, Saichoro awakens all of the latent potential within Kuririn, causing Kuririn to power up substantially and become multiple times more powerful than he otherwise could have ever been. This raises Kuririn's battle power. He also gives Kuririn the last Dragon Ball, the one-star Namekian Dragon Ball, so that he can protect and keep it out of Frieza's clutches. Because of his broken heart at the misery and the genocide of his people, Saichoro has a broken heart and it is killing him. Because of the death of his children, Saichoro is also dying. Like Master Yoda, who is the last of the Jedi, Saichoro is the last of his people. He is a lot like Master Yoda in Star Wars. And when he dies, the life force that is linked to the Dragon Balls will also kill the Namekian Dragon Balls as well. Much like how Kami's death resulted in the death of Shenlong, so then will Saichoro's death result in the death of the Namekian dragon, genuine Shenlong. And so Krillin takes the Dragon Ball and his newfound strength. So Zarbon finds Vegeta, who is still alive, and puts him inside the healing chamber. Apuli watches and monitors Vegeta's recovery. Frieza is very concerned about an ancient legend among the Scions that could potentially come to be realized. So Frieza is very watchful about the situation as it occurs. In fact, Frieza even mentions about summoning the Ginyu Zaitaku, the Ginyu Special Force, to be sent to Namek instead of their current mission that they are to be sent to. But Zarbon insists that he can handle the situation as it is breaking out. Once Vegeta is healed and recovers, he destroys the new model medical machine and kills Apuli. Vegeta kills Apuli and all of the Frieza Force soldiers except Frieza and Zarbon in Frieza's spaceship. Afterwards, Vegeta very cleverly goes into hiding, and because they don't have scouters, they are unable to track his presence. Vegeta then yells from across the main hallway of the spaceship to Frieza and Zarbon and fires a giant Kai blast that damages the spaceship. Frieza and Zarbon then rush to the main deck or to the upper deck to find Vegeta, who then goes at super speed to Frieza's quarters and finds the 5 Dragon Balls. Vegeta blows a giant hole into the spaceship to the outside, throws the 5 Dragon Balls over the lake, and then goes under and swims under the water holding his breath. Zarbon is unable to find Vegeta's location, and so Frieza plans to summon the Ginyu Force to planet Namek. Regardless, Vegeta finds the 5 Dragon Balls and puts them in a hidden location. And then Vegeta finds Krillin going back to Bulma's cave, or going back to their cave that they're hiding in with the Dragon Ball. Dende stays behind with Saichoro and Nail, and Gohan, using the new created Namekian Dragon radar, finds the 6th Namekian village that Vegeta attacked, and with the new Dragon radar, the updated Dragon radar that can detect Namekian Dragon Balls, swims underwater and gets the Dragon Ball that Vegeta got, and pulls it out and takes it with him. So Son Gohan now has 1 Namekian Dragon Ball, Krillin has a Dragon Ball, and Vegeta has the 5 other Dragon Balls. So anyways, Vegeta spots Kuririn, who is flying at fast speed with his new Kai sensibility, and pursues after Krillin. Zarbon spots Vegeta and pursues after him, while Gohan goes back to their hideout with the Dragon Ball. And so we have Vegeta following Krillin, and we have Zarbon following Vegeta. At his spaceship, Frieza bemoans the potential of the Scions. It is at this point that he begins to bring up a certain mysterious Super Saiyan myth, an ancient myth about the Super Saiyans and his loathing and fear of that Super Saiyan myth. Regardless, Krillin comes back to Bulma with the Dragon Ball. Vegeta also shows up, and so does Zarbon, and so Vegeta wants Krillin to hand over the Dragon Ball, and then him and Zarbon get into another fight. Now, in the Dragon Ball Z anime, there is a little quarrel between Vegeta and Zarbon before Zarbon transforms again, but this is the manga, and in the manga, Zarbon transforms right away, and they start fighting, and it's a pretty decent fight. It's a pretty tough and roughed out decent fight, you could say. Vegeta throws sand into Zarbon's eyes, and then gives him a somersault double knuckle punch. They fight, and they do a bunch of explosions and stuff. Kuririn and Bulma try to escape and to flee the scene, but Vegeta fires a bunch of Kaitan blasts that block their path out of the way. Zarbon fires a gigantic mouth beam that Vegeta throws off or is able to shrug off because he has gotten stronger compared to where he was even before during their first fight. Zarbon and Vegeta exchange multiple punches and multiple kicks. Akira Toriyama doesn't even really try to draw fight scenes like he did earlier on. It's completely transitioned to Western wrestling and cowboy-style fight-outs instead of Eastern Asian martial arts like earlier in the mangaka. In the later part of the mangaka, it's more Western fighting style, or a more kind of Western style of fighting compared to Eastern martial arts. And Akira Toriyama doesn't even try. I find it weird. So, Vegeta is somersault punching, he is knocking and beating the pus out of Zarbon even in his transformed true form state, or true form self. Bulma is horrified when Zarbon transforms. At first, it seems that Zarbon has the upper hand on Saiyan Prince Vegeta, but the tables turn very quickly. So Zarbon punches and throws and kicks Vegeta around like a stuffed doll, throws him into the ground and stuff, and Vegeta is unharmed. Vegeta throws sand into Zarbon's face, or Super Zarbon's face. They fight in super powerful flashy battle aura, as they punch and kick and fire a bunch of ki blasts and whatnot. Zarbon punches Vegeta. Vegeta cross-kicks after Zarbon. Most of the fighting takes place in the air. In fact, almost this entire fight happens with them levitating in the air. Zarbon fires a blast. Vegeta fires a Kai blast that's even bigger and even stronger. One of the Kai blasts creates a gigantic explosion that is like a giant fireball that destroys an entire island or chain of islands and creates a big hole in the water that's later covered up by a giant tsunami wave. And so Vegeta continues to fight, and he gradually surpasses even transformed Super Zarbon as they continue to go at full powerful battle force. It is the battle of the aliens, the force of the aliens, as they continue to go at super powerful speed. In outer space, Son Goku continues to train. Goku is now training at 50 times above Earth's regular gravity, as he fires a bunch of energy blasts and takes them at full force. And Goku continues to do multiple millions of push-ups and millions of setups. Son Goku, or Kakarot, trains non-stop for 5.5 days on his journey in outer space. On planet Namek, the battle with Vegeta and Super Zarbon reaches its final climax has Zarbon tries to headbutt Vegeta, and Vegeta blocks it off and pushes him down and kicks him into the air, punches him, gives him a high tailspin kick, somersault, double knuckle punches him right into the ground. At this point, Zarbon is completely injured, battle-scarred, and greatly damaged, and his ki is falling fast to 0. And Vegeta is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. In fact, Krillin points out that this is exactly how Goku was when he was a kid. Goku would always get into fights, and every time he came out, especially if he almost lost, but as soon as he recovered, Goku would become even stronger. And this is exactly what Vegeta is doing on Namek. Anyways, Zarbon finally surrenders and begs for his life, and actually says that he is willing to join forces against Frieza with Vegeta. Vegeta is not one bit fooled. Finally, Zarbon tricks Vegeta. Vegeta doesn't notice, and then Zarbon tries to grab Vegeta. Then, at the last second, Vegeta punches and impales Super Zarbon and fires a giant Kai blast right through him, killing Zarbon. Zarbon is dead. He has been killed. And he throws Zarbon into a body of water. At that point, Vegeta then forces Krillin, even though Krillin has been greatly powered up substantially, he is no match for Prince Vegeta. So Krillin gives Vegeta the Dragon Ball, and Vegeta goes. And there's this scene, after his fight with Dodoria where he finds out about the Earthlings, and he almost finds Gohan, Kuririn, and Dende, but a giant alien whale comes out of the water and blows out a bunch of air out of its whale hole or blowhole. And then there is another scene where Vegeta runs into Gohan. When Gohan is flying with the Dragon Ball back to the hideout, he runs into Vegeta, who has the Dragon Ball that he got from Krillin. Vegeta is really surprised and impressed to see Gohan, and he wonders if that fool Kakarot is on Namek. So this is when Vegeta finds out that the other Scion, the low-class imbecile Scion clown Kakarot, is not on Namek. And then Vegeta gives Gohan a parting word by kicking him in the upper torso and punching him lightly in the face. And he tells that Gohan must learn how to be a true Scion and to obtain true Scion honor by learning to tough up as a boy. And with that, Vegeta spares son Gohan's life and leaves him. Vegeta never finds out that Gohan has his Dragon Ball. So anyways, Gohan goes back to the hideout with Krillin and Bulma. They take their capsule house, and they fly off carrying Bulma to another secret location, as they substantially reverse or suppress their power level. Vegeta goes back into the water at the destroyed Namekian village that he had attacked already, and finds that the Dragon Ball is missing. And finally he realizes that the giant clock that Gohan had was in fact a special dragon radar. And that is when Vegeta realizes that he has been had. A furious, angry Vegeta goes back to the other place to find out that they're not there, and he destroys it and blows it up and flies off furiously. So Vegeta takes his Dragon Ball, he goes back to where the other 5 Dragon Balls that he stole from Frieza are at, and he just kind of waits out and hides. Kuririn and Son Gohan take Bulma to a a set of blasted out rocks where Bulma will hide with the 4-star Dragon Ball that Gohan brought back. Krillin and Gohan substantially hide their power levels, and they journey to Saichoro's place. Frieza calls the Ginyu Force, the Ginyu Saotaiku, and it will take them about 5 days to get to planet Namek. Now, this is an interesting thing. I'll bring this up later in the Cell arc. When we get to the Cell arc, I'm going to bring this back up. And if you are a true Dragon Ball fan and you are not a dub retard, you will remember this. But there is a certain planet with a species that have special and unique abilities that the Ginyu Force were going to go to and conquer with their might. But instead, Frieza changes their order and sends them with updated scouters, or an updated pack of scouters, to Namek instead. Now, if you remember that when I get to the Cell arc, congratulations, you're not a dub retard. If you don't know what that is, you are a dub retard, and you are not a real Dragon Ball fan, and you never, ever will be a true Dragon Ball fan. You're a dub retard. Anyway, so Goku is training at super high gravity. At some point, Goku is training at 50 times in artificial gravity, and then he trains at 100 times in the artificial gravity chamber room, as he goes at the furthest of his limitations and abilities and trains non-stop for 5.5 days. Or 5 days and 12 Earth hours, and 5 Earth days and 12 Earth hours in outer space, as he crosses the entire galaxy. Vegeta eats up an entire alien skeleton, or an entire alien, and he basically sleeps and rests for about 5 days. Krillin and Son Gohan travel for about 4 Namek days. Remember that there is no night on planet Namek. Because Namek goes around 3 suns, there is never any nighttime. Regardless, it takes them about 4 days to get to Saichoro, the Grand Elder's place. Eventually, they start to get closer, and they decide that they're far away enough from Prince Vegeta that they can raise their power level and fly directly to Saichoro. Vegeta senses their power level and follows after them. Anyways, has Krillin and Gohan approach the Grand Elder Saichoro's place, they can sense that Vegeta is coming after them. So, Krillin wants to use Saichoro's special magical ability to awaken Gohan's innate potential. If you remember when Gohan fought Nappa and Vegeta, I pointed out that Gohan, because he is half human and half Saiyan, he has an enormous amount of hidden potential. And if that potential could be awakened and raised, Gohan could become stronger than even Vegeta, possibly. Now, if you are not a dub retard and you are a true Dragon Ball fan, you will realize that that potential will later be used in which Gohan is going to do something really special. I'm not going to tell you what it is. You'll have to wait later and find out. Anyways, so Gohan meets Nail, and Gohan finds out and is impressed that Nail is very strong. He is a warrior type Namekian, and he also sees how Nail greatly resembles Piccolo. So Gohan flies up into the upper chambers and meets with Saichoro, the Grand Elder. They talk. Saichoro puts his hand on Gohan and reads and senses Gohan's thoughts, emotions, and abilities. he finds that Son Gohan is a pure-hearted child, and he has a strange and enormous amount of hidden power. So, Krillin runs into Vegeta. Vegeta flies around Kuririn and goes straight to Saichoro's, but it is already too late, because an enormous boost of power has already been awakened. The enormous and incredible hidden potential of Gohan is fully awakened by Grand Elder Saichoro, and Gohan becomes dozens, if not even hundreds of times more powerful than he could have ever been before. It could also be a naturally occurring Zenkai boost, or power of the Scions. Vegeta is truly impressed with how much stronger Gohan and Krillin have become compared to where they were on Earth, and Vegeta wants to know how they were able to get so much more stronger. Regardless, there is this conversation with Nail, Vegeta, Kuririn, and Son Gohan, where Vegeta finds out that Kakarot, the low-class scion that bested him on Earth, is on his way to Namek and is training extremely hard, brutally hard, to become stronger. And then they also find out about Saichoro and stuff, and they find out that Saichoro is dying. And when Saichoro dies, the Namekian Dragon Balls will turn to stone. They also find out that Vegeta wants to become immortal. They speculate that Frieza also wants to become immortal, and they want to use the Dragon Balls, Krillin and Gohan, to resurrect their dead friends, or to bring them back to life. There is an argument that ceases when Nail brings up that the Dragon God can grant 3 wishes. Yes, the Dragon God can grant 3 wishes instead of 1. And then Saichoro brings up that there are 5 gigantic, enormous battle power levels arriving to Namek. When Vegeta finds out, he knows that it is the Ginyu Force. The Ginyu Force, the 5 most elite, powerful warriors in the entire Frieza Intergalactic Empire and Planet Trade Federation, are on their way to planet Namek. They have to get the other Dragon Balls together, all 7. They have to summon the dragon, and they have to get their wishes granted before the Ginyu Force arrive. And so, Vegeta, despite his temper, despite his enormous Saiyan warrior pride, humbles himself to fight on the same side as Gohan and Kuririn. And so they fly to Bulma's place as fast as they can, and they get the Dragon Ball that Bulma has. Vegeta has 1 Dragon Ball, and they fly back to the other 5 Dragon Balls. In Namek's orbit, 5 space pods crash on planet Namek. All 5 space pods crash land beside Frieza's spaceship. Frieza comes out in his hover chair, and 5 mysterious warriors jump out of the 5 space pods. They unite and get together, and they call themselves the following as they perform ridiculous Power Ranger moves: Guldo, Raccoon, Jice, Bata, and their leader, Captain Ginyu. And they perform very ridiculous and super clownish dancing moves in front of Frieza. And they've also brought the updated Scouters. And by the way, other than the Ginyu Force, all of the rest of Frieza's henchmen are dead. Only the Ginyu Force are still alive, and they are the only 5 henchmen that are still alive that Frieza has in the manga. Alright, and so, I have been your host, ImperatorOfForge, otherwise known as Forge Warhammer, and this has been my review of the Frieza arc, Part 1, the Planet Namek Saga. Next time, I will do a review of the Ginyu Force part of the Frieza arc. On a scale of 1 to 10, how does the first part of the Frieza saga fit? The fights are not the best. Dodoria and Zarbon are kind of empty, low-key henchmen or minions of Frieza. Frieza does absolutely nothing. Vegeta does grow greatly as a character, and I am quite impressed with some of the fighting scenes. The fight with Zarbon and Vegeta was particularly interesting. On a scale of 1 to 10, I rate this part of the arc about a 6 out of 10. I rate it a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. Alright, I will now look at chat. Rick Perry says, Forge Gang, Rick Perry says that I'm still a hard man. How are you doing, Rick Perry? How are you doing, Interdimensional Lizard? Interdimensional Lizard says hard. Rick Perry says hard. I like that Goat Corpse is gay for Forge Gang, as Chan Kadoki puts it. Oh, dude. Goat Corpse will say anything to try. Goat Corpse is okay. Look, Goat Corpse and Total Janny Death are all right. They're okay, I guess. They're all right people. But yes, Rick Perry is truly gay for Forge Gang. Rick Perry's an awesome individual. Rick Perry is really cool. He's very knowledgeable. Oh, Goat Corpse is gay for Forge Gang. Good old Goat Corpse. Is he? That's just a joke, though. That's just a joke. Chan Kadoki is liquor sippin'. Hard is a lick. Chan Kadoki is a liquor sippin' hard man. I was gutted. His latest appearance was privated. I wanted to listen to it from the very beginning. There's copyrighted music in that stream. I'll have to put it on Rumble or something, but I can't play it because of the copyrighted content. We used to refer to vaginas as fajitas or fadges. Is that a joke, Rick Perry? Chan Kadoki's silken baritone imitated the reformed Stoic. He does sound a lot like Stoic. Said hi, sounds like a Stoic workout routine of 600 push-ups. Parthenogenesis. Rick Perry has a punch and kick emoji, fireball, fish, strong arm, explosions. I don't know what that is. Water wave, a dragon, and a baseball. Interdimensional Lizard says the true fans will understand. Yes, they will. And Interdimensional Lizard says hard. All right. So the Frieza arc is monstrously long. I'm not covering the entire Frieza arc in one go, but we will go in parts. I'm going to do the Cell and the Majin Buu arcs the same way. We'll break them down into parts. All right. I have been your host, ImperatorOfForge. I rate this part of the Frieza arc a 7 out of 10 or a 6.5 out of 10. I've been your host, ImperatorOfForge. Hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned for next time. Forge Gang! Stay hard! Bye for now. Peace.